Okay, and we are live. I'm not sure if anyone's here. Give everybody a few minutes, if anybody's going to come at all. Random morning live stream. These daytime ones seem to work out best in terms of the internet. So if you're wondering why at 8 a.m. I randomly chose to live stream, it's because the internet is my friend in the morning, and in the evening, it seems to hate me. Shout out to Minister Elena Henderson, who sends me very funny TikToks in my Instagram. Oh, it says I'm having streaming issues here. Skipped frames. Uh-oh. If you're joining, please let me know. I am gathering stories right now. Okay. Let me go to YouTube and see if I can see anyone here. If you are here, please say hello. Don't feel like you have to. Hey, Tank! Oh, no. From the hospital? Oh, wait. Is that... Oh, shoot. Let me mute that. Hold on a second. I paused myself on there. From the hospital. I hope that just means like because you're getting treatment, or are you in there like staying in there? Oh. Hopefully we can all offer you a nice distraction. I don't want to keep that thing on there because I have my TV off, no one's home, so it should not interfere with the internet. Oh no. Let's see. Trying to get rid of all the extra windows on my iPad to see if that helps. Let me see here. Okay. Here's the stories I have for us to start with. Nighttime walkers, like people that take walks at night, describe their most disturbing sights on late night strolls. So these should be weird. Just right off the bat, the title for the first story is like creepy. Here for 48-hour observation for breathing issues and pneumonia. Oh no. Skipped 59 times over the last 2 seconds. Jeez. Was here 48 hours last week too. Oh my goodness. Well, I hope I offer you a distraction this morning. Too bad I can't offer you more. Man, sometimes a distraction is something I know I personally need, but I'm also not in the hospital, so I can't assume what anyone needs. I will tell you this. Today, my husband is working in... do you remember hearing any stories about the historic area of Holly, like burning down? Was caused by one of the chemo drugs attacking my lungs. Oh, no. Yeah. My friend and I were just talking about cancer yesterday or the day before, how we should be way farther with advanced treatments than we are. Just super depressed and losing hope. Please don't lose hope. Hope is one of the few things that I think gets people through situations that otherwise wouldn't happen. Man. Hope that was a few minutes ago. Okay, so he's working in the old Moose Lodge today, and he said that yesterday when he was there, he came home very, very agitated, which usually when he gets off work, he's sore and he's kind of grumpy, but yesterday it was not himself at all. And this morning he said he thought that didn't come from him because he didn't feel like himself at all. And he said that my stepson, who's been working with him, saw shadows in there. So I gave him some sea salt to put in his pocket. Was supposed to be done with chemo this week. That doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Man. That is a bummer. I'm so sorry. The side effects from the stuff that's supposed to get rid of the bad stuff then makes other things happen, unfortunately. But I'm hoping that means that the other issue is taken care of, or they don't know yet. Like, how is it looking? Is it shrinking? Is it going away? Or they wait until after? I know that you have to, even if you go into remission, you have to get a test every 6 months for so long, and then every year after that for so long too. You could have had an attachment. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't feel anything here. Yesterday I did, so it's definitely attached to him. If there's an attachment, it's attached to him. So I instantly got out the sea salt, put it in a baggie, and had him put it in his pocket. So if that sounds a little witchy, that's fine. Maybe it is, but I swear it works. I have a little tiny satchel of sea salt that I put in my wallet everywhere I go. So definitely. You can put sea salt in the little baggie, or you can put it in like a locket or anything like that. Just kind of like, you know how like if you hang a locket from your hand and you can ask yes and no questions, like we learned that as kids. You can do that when you go into a room. Like you can choose something that you designate something as a cleansing tool, and then you can put it over an item or a room. And when you start, just make sure your hand is really still. It'll probably start to spin. But if you like set your intention that this item is meant for cleansing and what you want to cleanse, it'll spin, and then when it's cleansed, it'll stop spinning. Hello. Good morning. Good morning. We are leveling out, but they're throwing everything they can at the issues now. Yeah, and that usually makes bodies super weak. So sorry about that, Tank. We should live stream more. Now that summer's over, it'll be easier. But I do notice, please let me know if it does start to skip frames. It's showing me like little alarms that it is. Okay. 2 minutes ago it said that it's like buffering. So I did tell Tank that we have the stories that we're starting out with are called Nighttime Walkers Describe Their Most Disturbing Sights on Late Night Strolls. And then we'll see what we discover after that, if you guys still want to read. Tenzin, J-Ro, good morning. Good morning. I did let people know on Twitter and on Instagram that we were going to live stream this morning. Just in case, because last time I didn't do that. Well, I think I did show or tell people on Twitter, but I forgot Instagram. I think those are really the only two places that people would come from to watch videos. I was thinking about setting up a TikTok for Duchess Dark, but then I'd have to put like little snippets of video. I don't know. It seems like a lot of work for something that, I don't dance on there. So yeah, no. I could dab on there. My other account on like my personal account on TikTok is at 1,200 people, which I don't know why. I don't do anything on there. I play with my art like on my iPad, and then I post those little videos. I don't even know why I do that. They're entertaining to me, so I just share them. But it's 9 minutes. I think we can start reading. Are you guys up for that? And you know what? While I'm reading, if you guys have anything you want to write or suggest, please write it in there. 62% over the last 2 minutes. You guys let me know if it's buffering. It says it's buffering. I'm not sure why. All right, we're going to get started. Here we go. This first one says they were chased by a man doing the crab walk. It's not very long though, so I was once walking in the park really late at night and some drunk guy ended up trying to chase me around while crab walking. It scared me at the time, but now looking back at it, I think it's just super weird. I think that's like, remember crab walking when you were a kid? How do you chase someone like that? How do you chase someone in a crab walk? Do you remember how hard it was to do that when you're a kid? And there's always that one kid that does it super easy. This one says they were followed multiple times by the same van. Ooh. I was followed by a white van. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to post. It was posted by a deleted Reddit user. This one's posted by Orion. Okay. I was followed by a white van twice. I was heading to my friend's house when I noticed a white van that was driving behind me slowly. I thought it was odd, so when I turned the corner, I sprinted to the main road. A week later, in the same spot, that white van started trying to follow me again before parking, and a dude got out and started following me, laughing and shaking his keys. I turned the same corner and sprinted to the main road. That was the last time I went that route. I cannot confirm whether it was the same white van, but 2 years before, I was skateboarding around that area with my friend when a white van tried to run us over. I would just say from this point on, like, unless you're working for someone and there's big lettering on the side of that white van, it's just no. Just don't buy it. Yikes. This one says she received ominous warnings from a mysterious person in a car. Posted by Mermaid Fish Bitch. I was already creeped out from reading a Reddit thread of creepy stories when I decided to walk to my car and go get some tacos at a park a few blocks away from my place. I thought I was just creeped out from the stories, but I had a bad feeling. And out of nowhere, I felt like I needed to run into a stranger's yard. And sure enough, a car had been following me, and the driver rolled down the window to tell me that vulnerable young women shouldn't be walking around at night. There's scary people out here. At this point, I'm at the front door of this random house just screaming at him to fuck off, and he drove away. That car snuck up so easily, so I'm glad I had a feeling about it. Oh my God. They mistook Chinese lanterns for aliens while they were high. This is posted by Not a Ghost, probably. A few years back, I was stoned and walking back from a friend's house. Suddenly, I saw these lights floating up through a heavily wooded area. I almost shit my pants, thinking it was an alien invasion or something. I called my buddy in a panic, describing the lights, and he burst out laughing. My dumbass never saw or heard of these Chinese lanterns before. Well, they're lucky they didn't start a forest fire. Oh my gosh. All right, they were circled by an old man and a dog while taking a smoke break. This is posted by Juggling Moms. Went to smoke at a local park because I couldn't sleep. I went and sat down at a circular bench with a wall behind me. I noticed some old dude walking with a small dog sort of circling me, taking different paths all the time, but then somehow coming back to the same point. Then some other old dude sat down a few meters from me and started asking what I was doing and what the time was. As soon as that happened, I saw the other dude standing at that point again. So I got the chills and booked it out of there. Told him what time it was and straight up left. Later heard it is sometimes used as a cruising zone. And then they don't explain what cruising zone means. So, yeah. You want to see me dab? No one wants to see that. I will tell you that my hair is in a messy bun right now. And I have on like this super long, like it probably looks like a really thin blanket with sleeves sweater with a bunch of different colors on it. And my husband said I look like a piece of candy when I wear this because it's like got pink, yellow, like all pastel colors on it. Excellent. Okay, this one is a little bit longer. This one's titled, They Repeatedly Saw an Old Male Jogger Dressed like Norma Bates. Excuse me. This was posted by Green Kyanite. That must be like a sort of gem or crystal. My family doesn't like to make the dogs hold it more than 8 or 9 hours overnight. Yeah, that's pretty cruel. Oh wait, no. That seems kind of normal, doesn't it? Okay, so anyways, so we usually walk them around midnight. And where we live, that's reasonably safe. Oh, we're in a small town and everybody knows everybody else and their grandmother. The only person nobody knew was this kind of awkward middle-aged guy who randomly jogged through town sometimes. But there's a bike trail by the school and lots of people from neighboring towns go there. That is normal. Sometimes when I was walking my dog, I'd see that jogger. Only he donned a wig and put on some woman's clothing. Not normal woman's clothing, though. This was like old lady clothing, specifically an old lady dress that looked frighteningly similar to what Norman Bates wears in Psycho. It got creepier as time went on, because he always wore that same Norman Bates dress on his midnight jogs. So it started to seem like the midnight runs were less about gender expression or experimenting with feminine clothing and more about waiting until midnight to run through town in a creepy old lady dress. These are more funny than they are creepy. He'd heavily mouth breathe on the midnight jogs and do this awkward shuffle run. He didn't do that during the day, and he wouldn't acknowledge anybody during his jogs, except my mother, who he would greet unprompted with a gruff hello during the day. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. My voice almost cut out. He would say hello during the day. I haven't seen the guy in a while. Can't say I miss being startled on walks by him suddenly coming around a corner. Just to make sure I'm being very clear about this, the fact that he wore women's clothing wasn't what made me uncomfortable. It was the fact that he did this at midnight, and he only wore a dress that reminded me of a horror film. Started heavily breathing when he wore the dress. Adopted an awkward shuffle run when he wore it. And he refused to speak to anybody except my mother. Kind of sounds like he had taken on a different persona. Hey, Paul, good morning. Oh, okay. What do you call a snail on a ship, Tenzin? I'll let that ruminate for a second. Good morning, Paul. If I didn't already say that, J-Ro, Tank, and Tenzin. Good morning. Okay. This one is posted by They Were Terrified by a Nina Simone song while taking a shortcut. Posted by Ezra Blair. This must have been when I was about 16. I was walking with a friend in a woodsy mountain area. It's a small mountain in my hometown because it's effectively a shortcut from one end of town to another if you're on foot. Even so, it was rare for people to go up there as it's not really good for camping or anything due to being so rocky. It was slightly illegal a bit to be on there. Were better places to hide from the cops to smoke and weed and drink. We were in fact a little bit high ourselves, just trying to get to my friend's house to crash. So we're walking and having this shitty keychain flashlight that is sort of lighting up whatever we're directly pointing it at. But it's mostly just complete darkness. Not really an issue because there's a path and we're well accustomed to it. However, off the path, we hear a soft, almost twinkling, something like really low and musical, so soft that we couldn't quite be sure that we heard anything at all. Maybe like a wind chime, I'm thinking. Okay, so after a little back and forth debate, we decided to check it out of curiosity. That probably sounds pretty dumb. Yes, it does. But again, this is an area we know well. That doesn't matter. A small town we know well. There's a certain sense of security to what we're doing. That's how horror movies start. But it's pitch black, and as we're coming off the path, the flash. Oh my god, I almost said flashlight. Oh no. A snailer. Yep, a snailer. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, anyway. But it's pitch black and we're coming off the path. The flashlight is seeming dimmer and more inadequate. And the music is faint. And then it suddenly ramps up to a very high volume, and my friend drops the flashlight. It's a song called Black as the Color of My True Love's Hair by Nina Simone. It's a pretty song, but in complete darkness at high volume in the middle of the woods, it's a ball-retractingly terrifying song. That's very descriptive. Then a much brighter light shines in our face, piercing the darkness and blinding us. And it's low on the ground, like someone is laying, crouching, looking at us. The music stops. It's now completely silent, and at this point, I'm experiencing a sensation I've only experienced once since years later, where I had to hold it for like 6 hours. From beyond the light, a voice speaks and it proclaims, sorry. Two older than us college kids had snuck up to visit Bone City and drink, passed out, rolled over onto their iPad shuffle as we were walking up. Romantic retro music had become a nightmare fuel chaos and oh my god. So just to be stop by before I had to work. Hey, you can listen to me too. Oh my, all of a sudden my computer said it had a low battery. I'm glad I looked at it. Oh my gosh. Hold on a second. Hopefully it doesn't die. I'm not sure why this thing would all of a sudden have a low battery, but hey, let me get to it before it dies. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, and we're saved. Whew. The battery was fully charged when I started this, so I'm thinking maybe it has a bad battery. Okay. Wow. That or it just hasn't been charged in a while. All right. So I looked away and my iPad restarted, so I have to find where we were. Ranker. Super short random skips in audio just now, but you can still hear fine. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. I'm not sure why. Last time I did this and it was perfect, it was after 9 a.m., so I'm thinking that's what the issue is. I don't know. The iPad restarted my thing I was looking at, so just a second here. Okay, here we go. They found a man skinning a fox carcass in the woods. Jesus. This is posted by Redditor Hot Doggos. So I go for a walk most nights around 10 p.m. for around an hour. On Friday nights, I'll bring a few cool brewskis, maybe. Oh, for the walk for maybe 2 or 3 hours down towards town. Okay, anyway. To set the scene for you, it was about 12 a.m. and there's a park that's its own little island in the lake in the middle of town. The only way in and out is a long, skinny, man-made land bridge. I was walking around there. On the way back, I saw a car on the other end of the bridge. Okay, no big deal. I keep walking and the car takes off. But there's a green-blue blinking LED where it was. That's cool. I keep walking. It's about 150 feet away at this point. The light stays where it is, and I keep walking toward it, shining my phone in its direction, coughing, dragging my feet, etc., so I don't startle this mysterious light thing. And as I get closer, about 40 feet, I hear movement and rustling sounds. Around 20 feet, I see it's a man hunched over in the middle of the street over one of those shiny thermal blankets. And on the blanket, there's a small animal carcass, and it looked like he was getting ready to skin it. I get about 10 feet away, and as far as I can tell, I get about 10 feet away, and as far as I can, while still getting past, he shoots straight up. In a super panicked voice, he says, "Oh shit, hey buddy, we were just driving around and there was this fox." And I just said something like, "Haha, yeah, okay," and kept going. Didn't see him anymore. But about 10 minutes later, a cop pulled over beside me and asked if I'd seen a suspicious man and gave me a description. I told him I didn't get a good look, but I told him about the guy with the fox, and he said that sounded pretty sketchy and went to go down and check it out. I don't go to that park anymore. Yeah, sounds like a good idea. Man, I would love to be able to just stroll around at night like that. Like, I'd love to go for a walk at midnight and know that it would be super fine. Oh, yeah, of course I will. Mm-hmm. Yes, please, always. There's been a few suggestions I wrote down that people requested last time. Let's see. Dark fairy tales, and Peter Wilson wanted me to go to discover back rooms. So if you have any suggestions, I have pen and paper in my hand if you want to suggest anything while we're here. Topics you want me to explore, things like that. I was thinking about doing like specific seasons, like obviously October, then a few maybe in November, definitely December, because there's lots of creepy stuff about Christmas, and yeah, and then nothing in January, and then February because, psychos and love. March maybe because leprechauns are creepy. April, nothing in May. Like, I'm trying to think of specific months where I can really like entertain you guys on topic. But always, always, suggestions are very welcome. Because I'm a woman, like, I don't know, since it's a pretty much male cast in here, did you know that women just can't go for a walk whenever they want to because of what happens? If you have any women in your life, ask them why they can't go for a walk at midnight. If you live in a well-lit area where there's no crime and you're safe to go for a walk, then this probably won't apply to the women in your life. But I challenge you to ask them. Yeah, I highly suggest that. All right. This one is titled, "They Saw a Mysterious Robed Figure Floating Down a Hill," and they're anonymous. I was a teenager living in a small town. I was with a friend, and it was about 2 a.m. We were facing a hill up ahead. I saw something moving toward the top, and it appeared to be coming toward us on the sidewalk. As I got closer, it became illuminated by a dim streetlight. From a distance, it appeared to be very tall, around 7 feet if I had to guess. I couldn't see its feet. The way it was walking was more like a gliding, swaying motion. Slow, but it felt like it was faster than was comfortable at the same time. The weird part was that I couldn't see any features. It looked as though it was white, the way the street lamp hit it. But like white robes. Imagine a 7-foot tall, thin thing dressed as in a full burqa. I don't know how else to describe it. It looked like robes, the way the fabric swayed. and I couldn't see a face. I couldn't even see clearly defined arms or legs, just swaying and gliding down the hill on a sidewalk with no one else around. It was thin overall because of height, but it had a broad shoulder area based on the way the fabric draped very long arms. Because it was in robes or whatever they were, I couldn't see the limbs definitively. Okay, so I'm guessing proportion based off the movement I could see. It had a head, which that's all I can really mean is the top of a smaller than the rest of it. The movement, while it appeared to be almost floating, was also jerky. That sway that pirates have in movies. My friend and I exchanged some weird looks between us and turned off the road very quickly toward my house. To this day, I have no clue what it was. I'm sure the explanation is probably simple, but I'll never forget it and the feeling of dread that washed over me seeing it. Yeah, I think that's more important. Like, regardless of what it is you're seeing or what's going on, that gut feeling that you get, that's the creep factor. Let's see. They have on in Mexico that it is hairy hand that crawls around and tries to chase you. They have another in the UK that tries to grab the steering wheel and make people crash. Oh, like a fairy tale or like an urban legend? Aztec, hello? I think a good one for Halloween would be the stories about disembodied hands, kind of like the ones in the Addams Family. Oh, okay. Disembodied. I'm writing it down, sorry. Or like, what is that called? Folklore? It's kind of like urban legends from Mexico, right? Maybe like urban legends from different countries would be a good one too. I thought about doing, and I'm not sure if this is something that you can do, but I know that on TikTok you can do it. Like, you can play a movie and then interact with people. Like, I don't know if I could do that. The only thing I don't like is that, like, the audience, you don't hear the audience speak. Like, you have to rely on typing. So I hope that becomes like a feature in the future. But then I'm not sure how people wouldn't talk over one another. So that's probably why that is. Anyway, urban legends. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Good one. I wrote it down. All right, this one is titled "They Were Mauled by Dogs." Ooh. From Redditor Bun Snags. The first sentence says, "Got mauled by some dogs. I live in a rural area with lots of bushland." This is probably from Australia. I don't usually go walking at night, but I had a fight with my partner and I wasn't thinking. I took the route I normally took my dogs on. There's a bunch of dodgy units and then a stretch out of bush for about a kilometer before it meets civilization. That night I saw a medium-sized dog following me, so I kept an eye on it until I got to the bushland. I lost track of it and figured it got bored. I don't even remember being attacked. I remember an older couple throwing rocks at the dogs until they ran and I went to the hospital. Turned out it wasn't an isolated incident. A few more people and pets got attacked over the next few weeks. A lot of crappy people and lots of unfed, unneutered dogs created a big, expensive problem. Like 5,000 dogs got put down that year to try and deal with the problem. What? Wow. Wow. That's crazy. The lady in my life is afraid of the dark. She will go on a walk with me, but not alone. Right. So she's just afraid of the dark? Yeah, I do challenge every man that has a woman in his life. Any woman. It doesn't have to be a wife or a partner. It can be a coworker, sister, mother, daughter. Ask them if they would go for a walk at midnight, and if they say no, ask them why. We as a society have to deal with this problem, and get rid of it, but I'm going to go back to the stories because I will just squirrel right off into that direction. Um, this is titled He Was Followed by a Strange Mimicking Woman All the Way Home, posted by Diane L. Diane L. I don't know. I'm not saying it right. I'm sorry. I'm a 21-year-old male, 6'3", 220, deep voice, big guy. I wasn't ever worried about walking alone at night. How ironic that he said this. Until the woman. It wasn't too late, maybe around 10 p.m. I was walking around my suburb. And I'm sorry, I'm going to stop the story right here. She's afraid of what is in the dark. Right. What's usually in the dark is a creepy dude. Yeah. Yeah. It's not usually a monster. Although people, as we've learned, are the worst monsters that really exist. Anyway, it wasn't too late, maybe around 10 p.m. I was walking around my suburb like I usually do, and I had just hit this long stretch of sidewalk when I saw a tall, skinny woman along the path, walking her dog toward me. Now, I understand I strike an imposing figure, so whenever I encounter others on my walk, I do my best to be less intimidating. So as I walk nearer this woman, I say good evening, how's it going, stuff to lighten the tension. This is where it gets weird. She says good evening, how's it going? Then she says it again and again. 3 times in total. Good evening, how's it going? Good evening, how's it going? Ooh. Each time she said it, she progressively got closer and closer to how I said it. Almost like she was doing an impression of me. That already kind of got me on edge, but then her dog approaches me, and so she drags the dog away. Intent on my mission to lighten the mood, I say, haha, no worries. And then she says, haha, no worries, haha, no worries, haha, no worries. 3 times again, progressively approaching my vocal pattern. Except the haha was rather robotic. By this time I had passed her, but I didn't even want to look behind me. I just super power walked the hell out of there, and when I got home, immediately locked my door. Didn't sleep too well that night either. I don't walk around late at night too often anymore, and when I do, I usually bring someone with me and claim I want to socialize. Yikes. Oh my god. This one is creepy. Oh yeah. Whew. I think this is a fight or flight one. You guys are going to have to tell me if you heard this. I think I was going to read these before. This one's long. These are people share their scariest fight or flight stories. And the first one up says, Lyft drivers don't get paid enough to deal with this. Did we start reading these before? If you guys recognize this, please let me know so I don't just keep reading this. But I don't remember reading it. I don't, blah, blah. My tongue's not working correctly yet. I only had 1 cup of coffee because I didn't want to get too, excited. That is funny about the walking. Those are creepy. Squirrel. Well, it can be kind of, it can be kind of a little bit like torture mentally to squirrel every time. Let's see. This is posted by AKA Bulldozer. I used to drive for Lyft. Last year, I picked up a young couple from a bar at around 1:30 a.m. They were fairly chill, and I figured it would be my last ride of the night. The dude asked me to stop at a corner store on the way to their destination so that he could get some cigarettes. I didn't see any harm in waiting, so I stopped and had a nice chat with a young woman while he was in the store. He ended up taking about 5 minutes since everyone was trying to get their pre-2 a.m. beer. Oh, because they stopped selling. When he came out, he asked me to take him to a location that was in the opposite direction of their destination, but was only about a mile away. He said he wanted to meet some friends real quick and grab some beer, and since I figured it would be my last ride of the night, I said, screw it, why not? And drove him over there. Now, I know the town we live in fairly well, but the direction that we were coming from was not a way I was used to going when I would go to this location. So when I turned onto the destination street, I missed the turn into the complex parking lot. I just came to a complete stop since the roads were empty and asked him if they just wanted me to park on the street or pull into the complex. This is when the two of them started arguing, and as he suddenly wanted to go in and hang out for a few minutes, she didn't want to go in at all. She just wanted him to do his thing, get out of there so they could go home. Then something hit my car. This sound is unmistakable to me, so I immediately started to look around and figure out what it was. But there were no other cars on the road, so it couldn't have been that. Then I moved to the next thing on my mental checklist. Something didn't hit me, then what did I hit? But that didn't make any sense either, as I'd been in park and couldn't hit anything. It's at this point when the young lady's attitude completely changed. She just kind of looked around and then said, "Can we just get out of here? It hurts and I want to go home." This was odd to me as she's been sitting in my car for 10 minutes at this point and hadn't said a word about any kind of pain. She followed this up with, "It hurts and I can't move." Put her hand to her back and pulled it out covered in blood. What the fuck? The guy starts freaking out, thinking that something in my trunk exploded, but it was empty. And as he reached over to tend to her, I noticed, while sticking out of the seat, something white sticking out of the seat. This hadn't been there at the beginning of the night, so I asked him what it was. He pulled on it, and it was a piece of filler fuzz from my seat. It came out of the hole that had been made in the seat because she'd been shot. As soon as he grabbed the fuzz, we both had the same realization. He slammed his door shut. I drove them straight to the hospital, which was only a couple of miles away. The realization and the follow-up realization of, oh, someone could still shoot you while you're sitting here, was one of the most terrifying things I'd ever experienced. Oh my gosh. What? That was kind of hard to follow, but did you guys get it? Squirrel. Squirrel. Man. Anyways, this one's titled Not the Cops, from Redditor Breaking Gaia. My car was stolen the very night I moved into my new house in a very good neighborhood. The neighbors had warned us that the neighborhood was being targeted at the time. They mentioned a woman around the corner that opened the door for knockers in the middle of the night, and they attacked her and robbed her and almost killed her. We had reported the car stolen and did the police reports when it happened. Well, 2 nights later, in the middle of the night, I hear a knock on the door, and they said, "Open up, it's the police." Well, since I had heard the story about the other lady, I was suspicious and didn't answer. I grabbed my kids and put them in my daughter's room because it had access to the roof from the window. I called the police to say that 2 men claiming to be the police are pounding on my door. They told me there were no police in the area and that they're sending a car. Turns out these guys were the same guys that stole the car and came back for seconds. I did get my car back because they brought it with them. What? So you had the audacity to steal someone's car and then go back to their house? Oh my gosh, there's something wrong with my brain because I'd be excited for the revenge that I would get to unleash on these stupid people that had the audacity to come back to my house. Yee-haw, you are dumb. Anyway, this one's called Camping Creep, from Redditor 20 Brink. That's different. It's not even funny. It's just, If any of these mean something when I say the Redditor name, please let me know, because sometimes it just goes right over my squirrel head. I was camping with a friend in a backwoods camping area, not very many sites, and they were all super spaced out. We had already been there one night, had the site fully set up. We had been hiking all day, the works. We drove into town to get food, and we were driving back to our secluded campsite. We passed a man walking out of the only road to our site. We both locked eyes with him and got super creeped out. He stared at us like he knew us and hated us, but we had never seen him in our lives. When we got to our tent, we went inside and everything in there had been tossed. Our bags were dumped out, our clothes were thrown everywhere, so we quickly realized our hunting knives were gone, along with a bunch of our clothes. We also realized it had to be that guy we saw, because there were no other sites or hiking paths we could have been walking from besides ours, that he could have been walking from. We jumped in the car and drove back toward where we had seen him. He was gone. We drove a bit further and found a common area where other campers were gathered. We sprinted down and asked, "Have any of you guys seen this guy?" and described him. The people at the gathering just stared at us and didn't speak, giving us an even more creeped out feeling. It was at this point that I told my friend, "We need to leave this place now." Walking back to our car, we looked over the edge of the guardrail and saw all of our stolen clothes in the woods. We gathered them up but didn't find either of our knives. Knowing that this guy was still out there with those knives and that no one around us cared freaked us out so much that we packed up the car and ended our camping trip early. There was no way we were staying in the woods one more night. I mean, it kind of sounds like he was with them, so... If you're just joining us, I see there's 7 viewers. Good morning. You don't have to join the chat if you don't want to, but if you do, everybody here is pretty friendly. Just saying. Just told I'll be in the hospital at least until tomorrow at minimum. You're a sad squirrel. Oh my goodness. Sorry, Tank. I hope that we're distracting you a little bit. Let's see here. Work Stalker. Posted by Seun. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. Anyway, this was by far the creepiest thing that ever happened to me. It's a bit long, but bear with me. For context, I live only a few streets away from my workplace. This guy came to my floor one day for a team meeting. Ever since then, he made a point to pass my desk when walking to the kitchen, which doesn't make sense logistically, as the elevator basically opens right onto the kitchen. Keep in mind, this guy is a complete stranger. Nobody's ever seen him on our floor, so my work friends knew he purposely came to our floor just to see me. He would make excuses to be near me whenever I was in the kitchen, to get a glass of water while I am washing my dishes, etc. He was always alone, never spoke to anyone, and just watched me. This happened for 3 months. That's creepy. Like, after the first 2 days, everybody should have been like, "Yeah, dude, no, this isn't okay." Like, why do people let these things go on longer than they need to? It doesn't matter if it's justified or not. If it gives you the heebie-jeebies, get them out of there. Come on. Yes. Good vibes. Like, remember the Care Bears? Like, just imagine my squirrel belly sending good vibes. The Care Squirrels. So one day, he happened to be downstairs at the time I finished work. He then knew exactly what time I finished and waited downstairs for me every single day. No. Women, men, if somebody does this to you, call them out on it and render the situation immediately, because the longer it goes on, the worse it's going to get. Moving on. He just sat there watching, waiting for us to leave, then went back up to work. One day I walked out with a friend. We saw him sitting downstairs, quickly walked out of the building and parted ways, assuming he would go back up now that we'd left. I was wrong. My friend walked off. I'm sorry, I'm swallowing a lot in the microphone, and I'm just realizing that that's probably catching it on the microphone, so I'm so sorry. Anyways, man, was I wrong. My friend walked off in the opposite direction, leaving me all alone. I had crossed the road and was just about to turn the direction of my apartment when some higher power compelled me to turn around. That feeling that just rushed over me. I had never felt before. It was like a mix of all the most negative emotions in the world swirling into one massive super cloud of fear. When people talk about fight or flight, this was the epitome of that. To this day, I can still not understand what made me turn around when I generally would never do that. I was smart enough to go in a completely different direction so he wouldn't know where I lived. He walked a short distance behind me, crossed the road to check to see where I was walking home to. Another male colleague happened to finish work at the same time this went down, followed him, and waited to see what he was doing. So, stalking the stalker, basically. He confirmed that he absolutely followed to see which direction I was going, and then went back into the building. I had walked too far ahead. Once I had walked too far ahead. He would have only needed to follow me a short distance to see where I lived. This happened a few more times before I finally reported his crazy butt and got him banned from entering all buildings associated with my company. Turns out he didn't even actually work for my company, external contractor, and shouldn't have even been in my building in the first place. What? See, that's why. Man. Squirrel. Listen to that voice in your head. Unless you're me. The voice in my head likes to hyperfixate. Yeah. And predict doom. I've been distracting that little voice lately, so I'm good. From Redditor, Indirect Doodle. That's a cool one. One night when I was very young and at a bar, I got quite drunk. We've all been there. Some guy propositioned me to go back to his place, and I was up for it. Oh, boy. I left my car because he told me to just ride in his. No. Since I had been drinking so much, and we went riding down the road. Dun, dun, dun. Immediately, no to all this. It was quite a ways, and I started to question him where he was going. He said it was just up the road, on the river. He pulls over on the side of US 1 and points to a 2-story house on the river. It was very dark, and the only light was of the moon. So we walk down the dock to get to the front door. He gets in front of me and is playing with the doorknob, and as he pushes it to open, he turns to me and says, "Please don't make me turn on the light and let you see how dirty my place looks." So of course, drunk and stupid me says, "Oh, no problem," and probably giggled. He guides me by the hand up a set of stairs. We get to the top and he says, "I just have a mattress on the floor. I hope you don't mind." And again, drunk and stupid me just sits down on the mattress, not thinking anything about it. And as I sit there in the dark, I start to get my vision a little clearer. Everything looks off. The mattress has no sheet on it. And I swear I hear a whisper in my ear that says, "Get out." I jump up, ran down the stairs, ran out the door, down the dock, across US 1, up to a house that was across the street, ran up to the door and started beating on the door and screaming for help. I turn and look, and the guy is running across US 1, chasing me. I start screaming more and more, and now I'm afraid this house is abandoned too. And right as the guy gets up and is about 10 feet away, the porch light turns on, and the guy stops, turns around, and went back to his truck. Poor guy whose door I was beating on came out and saw me crumbled crying on his porch. The sweet man got in his car and drove me back the 20 miles away so I could get in my car. I never saw him again, never knew his name, but he saved my life. I know he did. Oh my God. Man. This story could be so much more. Like, don't you think you would go back to the bar and, like, with your friends when you were sober and, like, disguise and try to figure out who the guy was? Because I would. I probably that same night would have had my friends go looking for this guy. Like, there's something wrong with me, or I'm just, like, not other people. Or would you guys do that too? Like, I would immediately figure out who this was. Is this on? Is this thing on? Anyways, this one's titled Movie Weirdo from Annie Costa. Went to a movie on Halloween when I was in high school with my boyfriend at the time. It was a huge theater, and there was a staircase all the way to the top that now opened in the middle of the row, so you could sit on either side of the opening. My boyfriend and I sat in the back row on one side of the opening. We were watching the movie around 30 or 40 minutes after the movie started. Okay, that was a blurred mumble sentence, so I'm really sorry because my mouth is still waking up and my brain is fully awake. A guy walked in by himself wearing a big sweater and sat on the other side of the opening. He didn't really do anything at first, but he gave us a bad feeling and I felt uncomfortable, but I continued watching the movie. I noticed the guy seemed really nervous and wasn't paying any attention to the movie. I really couldn't figure out why, but he was stressing me out big time, and I just felt like we had to get out of there. I told my boyfriend I was probably being silly, but I wanted to leave. And as we were leaving, we informed the staff about the guy, just in case. Turns out, they had been looking for him as people had reported seeing a guy of that description behaving strangely in the parking lot earlier. The police even came and apparently had quite a few large hunting knives hidden under his sweatshirt. Oh my lord. See? Trust your gut. Trust your gut. Blah, 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 blah. Firestorm Flight. Posted by Voxtremus. Voxtremus. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway. Definitely when my town got hit with the worst firestorm we've ever had in 2017. Thomas Fire. We knew there was a fire somewhere, maybe another town. We weren't too worried. The power is beginning to go spotty and the winds are howling outside. Then my roommate gets a call from a friend on the other side of town and says my house is on fire. You guys need to pack a bag. After the call was over, the power went out and stayed out. We packed our bags, and I start to hear little plinks against the roof. Almost like rain, but it's not rain. It's ash. 15 minutes had gone by, and I look outside. We live by a large hill only 2 blocks away, and it was on fire. Burning. It got there so fast. I got back inside to tell my roommates we have to leave right now, and this is when our neighbors started wigging out too. We had to then capture our three very scared and confused cats. It was so crazy to drive away and see only blackness ahead of you. But in your rearview mirror, see only flames. Our neighborhood home ended up being spared. However, many of my friends who lived closer to the mountains were not so lucky. Ooh, that would be scary. Hey, good morning, Wraith83. If you're just joining us, good morning. You don't have to talk. You don't have to talk in the chat. You can just listen. It's cool. But if you'd like to say hi, everybody here is pretty friendly. All right. This was titled Hollywood Mountain Lion. Just random live stream this morning. Internet seems to be working better. This is posted by In My Rhyme. Used to climb up to the Hollywood sign all the time. Took a bunch of friends there one night, and that had never been. So. This is in the late 2000s. Usually it's just an eventful climb other than some fairly steep parts. This time was different. About halfway up, I get a really weird feeling. Wasn't sure what it was. 2 steps later, I hear this quickly repeating whistly sound. It's unmistakable. I knew what it was immediately. I'd heard it once before in Northern California when I was in elementary school. I couldn't see it right then in the Hollywood Hills, but I'd seen the source of the sound clearly when I was younger. It was a mountain lion. I put my hand out sharply, straight behind me, with my palm open toward everyone else. They told me later that they could tell by my body language change that it was very serious. I leaned backwards while not breaking line of sight where I thought the sound was coming from. My friend leaned his chin up on my shoulder, and I told him in the most calm voice I could to make everyone start climbing down very slowly. I think because there were so many of us, we got away without incident. But the absolute stone making fear I felt that night was tense, going from laughing and having a good time to immediate silence and maximum sensory perception. It was wild, and I never climbed up that sign again. I always wanted to do that. I always wanted to climb the Hollywood sign. If anyone's ever done that, please let me know. Please let me know if you've ever done that because that sounds amazing. It looks really cool. I've never been to California either, so. Menacing Modeling Scout, posted by Chill Jill. My mom and I were walking our dog on a semi-secluded, dried-up riverbed. For context, I was probably 7 or 8. A couple approached us, and instantly something in my gut told me that we were not safe. The man asked some weird question like, "Is it just you and your daughter here?" Oh, and Ranker just restarted my thing here. Just a second. What would have been smarter would be for me to put this in a Word document. Okay. Is it just you and your daughter here? And then proceeded to say that he took pictures of kids for a living and that he would love to have me model for him. I didn't wait to hear the rest of the conversation because after that, I took off. And I'm ashamed to admit I left my mom and dog behind with a creepy guy. Mom was livid, saying how rude I was and how worried she was because she didn't know where I went. But the intense leave now feeling that came over me totally clouded any sort of reasoning. Dude, I'm glad that moms are smarter now. Like, I'm not worried about rudeness. I'm worried about who's the weirdo that decided to walk up to my kid and ask to take pictures of them. Nope. This one's titled, and I must have skipped it originally, Abandoned Orphanage, posted by Adois96. These names. A couple of years ago, I snuck into an abandoned orphanage with a couple buddies. Dumb, I know, but drunk college kids find dumb. Stepped down through a basement window onto a barrel. Easy. We get down and walk through the hallway when we notice a drop of blood by our feet. After a close examination of ourselves, we notice none of us are bleeding. We shine our flashlight further ahead and notice the blood continues into the darkness. Nope. Noped out as fast as possible. Trespassing with someone or something else injured in the basement of this building? No thanks. Or something that got drug in there. Dun dun dun. Oh, these ones are numbered. This is number 11. Too many creepers nowadays. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. This one's titled Tailgate Terror. Posted by Khaki53. So I was driving my friend and I back from a bar on the way to our Airbnb in the middle of nowhere, small town, North Carolina. At some point early on, a car turns into the road behind us, and it's dark, 2 a.m., so I don't think anything of it. They're also driving super close to me, but I'm not about to speed due to road rage pressure. You know what I do when someone follows me too close, and it's something like that? I literally pull over and wave them to go past me. Do you know how many people that do that get really mad that you told them to pass you? Like, someone should be fine. If they want to go faster, they should just go around you. But yeah, that's what I do. Anyway, I'm not about to speed due to road rage pressure. They chill out on tailgating, and the longer we're on the road, the farther we get from civilization. It's very unusual for another car to be going out the way we are. So about a half a mile from our Airbnb, I pull off to a side street and let the car pass. Oh, I guess I didn't know they were going to do that. Anyways, we wait 5 minutes, turn around, get back on a road, and lo and behold, the car is just sitting there, waiting for us. So we nope out of there, and now I'm flooring it to get back to the bar so we can get to safety. I do a rolling stop through a stop sign, and the car finally turns its cop lights on and pulls me over. Dude has the audacity to ask me why I ran a stop sign and just go off on him about how effing terrifying it is to be stalking two college girls who don't live in the state all the way back on the 25-minute home from the bar. I'm literally on the phone with 911 when he pulls us. Cop looks real apologetic and lets us off with a warning. For what, I don't know. Saying he thought we saw he was a cop and that people usually turn off on his side streets like we did when they're trying to avoid cops and blah blah blah. Dude was definitely trying to trap us into a ticket. No, dude was trying to do something else and was going to get away with it. He was trying to get away with it. Then he thought that he'd just act like a cop when he got back in town and you guys wouldn't notice or call him out on it. Yeah. Dumb college kids. I know, isn't that quite redundant? They called themselves dumb college kids though. But I think they called themselves dumb because they were young. But yeah. And just to reiterate, not everyone that goes to college is smart. There's a lot of people that are really smart that never go to college. Anyways, I don't want to squirrel off on that. Focus. This story is full bull, this says. Posted by Ghost in Your Pants. Excellent. Taking pictures of a family who wanted a fall photo shoot in a field. We hear something. Look behind me, and a huge bull is pawing at the ground. And when I make eye contact, it starts running toward us. Oh my God. I see that there is a fence between us, so I'm not as fast as I could be shooing the family to the car until the bull gets to the fence and it immediately turns away from us to run along it. I then notice that the fence ends halfway up the field and that bull is mad and running really fast. The adrenaline rush was for real. Wait, the adrenaline rush was for real. And then the story ends. I mean, he clearly lived, but what? Shirtless, masked dudes on quads equals scary. This is from Redditor Tell 'em Steve Dave. In high school, my buddy and I were riding our dirt bikes on the trails that ran around the logging roads in southwest Washington. I'm thinking that's what SWWA means. Thousands and thousands of acres of undeveloped land with just gravel logging roads and trails. We're on our way back to the truck when we stopped at an intersection to figure out which way to turn. 3 dudes in overalls. Okay. When I read the title, I pictured jeans and no shirt. But when you say 3 dudes in overalls gives a different vibe. And no shirts and full face helmets rode out of the woods on quads. They rode, my God, a few slow circles around us, then took off back into the woods. We booked it out of there. Turns out all that undeveloped land is also good for growing, cooking, and dumping. What? If you're writing a Reddit story and you listen to this, please elaborate. Please, give an ending to your story. That would be fantastic. Cats! See, that's why I posted on Instagram, because I figured you'd see it from there. Unless you just saw it from YouTube. Let me know how you guys found out about the live stream, will you please? Did you get a notification from Twitter, YouTube, or Instagram? I didn't post it anywhere else because I don't think anyone else comes from any other source to... I just dropped something. Oh. To watch anything. Oh, and cats. Somebody said for me to do urban legends or the disembodied hands tales from Mexico. Just letting you know that. I think it was Aztec someone. All right. This one's titled Imp Invasion. What does that mean? Posted by B Stone 1120. In high school, a friend and I jogged down into a deep wooded valley at night. We saw some guys from school in a car at the bottom of the valley. Legend has it that this place has evil imps, so we thought it would be fun to scare them. We both start making these wild imp screams. What does that mean? Like monkeys or screams, noises, and loud, and we did this as loud as we could. They freaked out, got into their car, and took off as fast as they could, leaving us in the pitch dark. Behind us in the forest valley, many animals or creatures started making the exact same screams that we were making. We both looked at each other and mutually freaked out, ran all the way back to town, which was about 3 miles uphill in the dark. Creepy as hell. Ha, serves you right, little turds. Okay, that's what I was wondering. Okay. Country folk when I hear people in overall. I do too, but in the dark with the mask on. Mm-mm. That gives a whole new creep factor. Tin roof, rusted. Posted by Flat 5. At a summer camp, a buddy of mine and I climbed out onto a tin roof of a big hall that was built on the side of a steep hill. On one side, you could climb out right onto the roof, and on the other side, it was a 3-story fall onto concrete. Being teenage idiots, we climbed from the low side over the peak of the sloped metal roof and were inching down toward the edge of the high side. We had sneakers on and had a pretty solid footing, so it wasn't outrageously dangerous. Then, out of absolutely nowhere, raindrops start falling. Uh-oh. We both look at each other and realize that this is really bad and try to start backing up, but wherever there is even the slightest dampness, this metal is now completely slick. There's nothing to hold on to, and the grip of the rubber shoes on dry metal was all we had. I look at him and see the panic in his eyes that I'm feeling too. And we're trying to move up this tin roof as fast as we can, and the raindrops are falling harder every second. I see him break completely free and start sliding down, his eyes frozen in terror, and somehow, miraculously, he stopped sliding. I made it to the top, scrambled down, grab a branch, and lean back over the top, trying to give him something to grab onto. He eventually makes it high enough to grab the branch, and I pull him up and over. I've never felt panic like that, and we're so lucky that we made it out of there. Okay, yeah. 3 stories. I had to go back and figure out how much they would have gotten hurt. Yeah. Dead hurt. From YouTube and viewing other dark story channels. Oh, okay. Cool. Thank you for letting me know how you got here. Aztec, I'm not sure if Aztec is still here, but he suggested doing some stories about the tales from Mexico about disembodied hands. He said there were different, all kinds of different ones. Urban explorers find more than what they ask for. Posted by Pie is Good 876. So I'm in my early 20s. I go urban exploring with a group of friends from college. One cold night in October, 7 of us went to an abandoned, formerly state-run asylum. It was on a big campus with several large buildings. The roads were disused but not closed. So we were able to get pretty close by car and luckily found a good spot and some brush to hide in then. We were pretty bad at sneaking. People were talking. One dude was messing with a laser pointer, etc. Luckily, there wasn't really any security patrolling, but I knew there could be other people to hide from. We went to explore one of the main buildings. 10 plus stories tall. Yikes. Surrounded by a chain link fence. Eventually, we found a hole and climbed in. Searching between the fence and the outer wall, I swore I heard twigs breaking in the woods behind the building. We were basically trapped between the fence and the building, and the only way out was the way we came in. which was also the direction the sound was coming from. Two of the girls with us were joking around, and the kid with the laser pointer was still playing with it. I started to get nervous and told them to knock it off, but they were having fun and didn't care. And all of a sudden, there was this yow. My gosh. All of a sudden, there was this loud yelling like an old man in pain, and everyone shut up. And after a moment, we heard tons and tons of twigs snapping. And now I was panicking, and I yelled for all of us to run. We scrambled out of the fence, back to our cars, sure that death was right behind us. Looking back at it now, it was probably just raccoons going at it, or a squatter, or that was more scared of us. But at the time, I never felt the need to run more in my life. Needless to say, we cooled off in the exploring for a while. Yikes. I think it would be cooler to do it during the day, because in those older buildings, you never know if those floors or stairs are safe to be in, because you don't know how long this building has been maintained, if at all, and you could really get hurt. And I think if something's haunted, it's haunted 24 hours a day. It doesn't matter if you go at night. Of course, it's going to be scarier at night because it adds to your fear. But if something's haunted, it's haunted all the time. I wonder, have you been on the Slasher Horror app? No. What is that? I know that someone was trying to start an app of a few creators telling stories on there, and you can add music or not. So, no. If that's what you're talking about, I haven't. And do you mean listen to or be featured on? No. No to both. This one's titled A Vaguely Human Shape, and please tell me more about it if you want to. Older buildings can be so broke down, but adds to the thrill. It does, but I just don't want to suggest anyone do that, and then like they fall 3 stories because there was a hole in the floor and they didn't see it. Or like the stairs could be rusted. A lot of the older buildings have those metal like rods that you hold on to, and the stairs are usually made of metal too, or concrete, which that seems like if you're going to build something. Nope, I'm going to squirrel. Stay focused. A Vaguely Human Shape, posted by Person on Fire. Person on Fire. My girlfriend and I were camping in the woods. Nice spot by a rushing river. The evening had gone well, and we were turned in for the night. Car camping in the woods, if I didn't mention that. Anyway, sometime later I woke up and I needed to pee. I do my business and head back to the tent. And I'm sitting on the edge of the tent taking my shoes off when I see it. A vaguely human shape suddenly jumps out in my mind and I freeze. I stare through the dark at the shape, just silhouetted by the dim starlight, wondering if I'm seeing things or if someone is creeping in on us. Then the shape moves. It rises up, becoming a larger outline, partially blotted by the trees. Bear, my mind screams at me. I whip into action, reaching for my knife with one hand while zipping the tent closed for some paltry barrier between me and it. It's then that I hear a noise over the rush of the river. Hey, wait for me. Apparently, my girlfriend had come out after I did, and I just didn't realize. So you mistook your girlfriend for a bear? What are you, 3 feet tall? How? How? And how did that conversation go later on? There's so much more that could have been told here. How? A person and a bear, much different. Please tell me you didn't have your glasses on or something like that. Like, oh man, what a bad, hard conversation you had later that night. Oh my gosh. Wondering because I found a few YouTube channels from there as well. Oh, that's weird. I'm going to have to look that up later. Slasher app. Oh, there's an ad. Boop, boop, boop. On here. Trying to find something else to us for us to do we want to do baffling even their doctors? That sounds gross. Do we want to read that or like on the road again? No. No, we've already read those ones. I already know it. Did you order pizza? People who found human remains. I'm trying to see if we've read these already. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to read these ones. They're called 21 People Who Discovered Dead Bodies Share Their Stories. I'm going to read the first one. If you guys have heard these, you'll know right away before I will, and let me know. All right. This first one is titled The Skeleton Was Picked Clean. Posted by Zeradone. Worked as a lifeguard on the Central Coast during the late 90s, early 2000s. Got a call that a woman was missing after last being seen on the ocean north of the Pismo Pier. My agency responded by sending men, myself included, to help with the search and rescue. We spent all day doing search patterns south of the pier, and that is where the longshore current would have dragged her. Next day, it was no longer a search and rescue, but a body recovery. We had one of our harbor patrol boats on scene, and I was riding as the swimmer on the boat. We had a call that patrons at a hotel north of the pier had found a body in the rocks. My boat was the first on scene, and the lady matched the description. But the gruesome part? Her head, hands, and feet were all preserved and untouched, and everything else was picked clean to the skeleton. You don't forget a sight like that. I feel like I've read that before on the channel. Morgue ones are always good. Oh, yeah. Let's do morgue ones. All right, I'll go back to that. Mistakes girlfriend for a bear. Immediately breaks up. Oh, I thought you were a bear. Oh my gosh. Hey, Crow. I haven't seen you on here in a long time. Of course, I haven't been on here a long time, but I don't think I've seen you on here for a long time, actually. So please let me know how you were alerted to the live stream. I ask everybody that. Was it Twitter, YouTube, or Instagram? That's the only places it would have been sent, I believe. And also let me know if... All right, let's go back to doctor stories. Creepy doctor stories. Dun, dun. Baffling even to the doctors. What? Well, let's go down this path because this is titled Doctors Describe the Patients Who Made Them Ask, How Are You Still Alive? Okay. This one's titled He Had an Upside Down Lung. From Redditor Captain Reginald Long. Oh my god. Anyway, pathologist here. Had a guy who passed suddenly and unexpectedly. I soon learned he was the recipient of a lung transplant 15 years prior. When I opened the man up, his transplanted lung was upside down. I flipped the lung into the proper position, and bloop, it flipped right back upside down, which was quite alarming. The surgeons who originally performed the transplant incorrectly attached the organ. When he by chance entered the correct position, the lung flipped over, causing his pulmonary artery to seal shut, which made him pass away. The man lived for 15 years with the lung that was trying to flip upside down. And it was only by sheer chance he didn't move in such a way that it allowed it to do this until that one fateful day. It's one of the most fascinating cases I've ever witnessed. What? So this is a valid concern for some people that shouldn't ride like those rides that go upside down or like bungee jump and then they pass away and you don't know why. What if this is a condition that a lot of people have and they don't know about it until an autopsy? Like what? YouTube finally notified me. Really? Wow. We did not just get lucky. What? This one's titled "A Car Fell on His Face." You guys need to let me know if you want me to keep reading these ones. Maybe I should just go search for morgue stories. Let's do that. Let's look for morgue stories. Morgue. Morgue. Let me see. Ooh. Okay, there's two that come up right away. Morgue and funeral home employees reveal things that would surprise civilians, or 16 horrifying true tales of people who woke up in the morgue. Oh, which one? I'm going to go with the first one because it's probably creepier than people that woke up in the morgue. All right, let's go with that one. This one's titled "Some Beguile Morticians by Their Lashes." One instance spooked me bad. My coworker and I were given notice to move a body out and clean the room for its next occupant. We got up there, got the woman's body out of the bed and onto the gurney, and went around making sure various apparatus around the bed were dormant. Nurse's job, but we were told to always check. So I go to stand at the foot of the gurney to direct it when the coworker squeaks, "Dude, she's awake." Lady was blinking rapidly over freaky, glossed over dead eyes. And anyone who's seen a dead person's eyes after death knows what I'm talking about. There's clearly no life left in the body. We both freaked out, screamed for the nurses who came running. They called code whatever, thinking she might be waking up. My coworker and I just backed up, flattened ourselves against the windows, and watched the ruckus. Woman was stone dead, no breathing, no heartbeat, no brain activity, nothing. None of the nurses or doctors could or would tell us why the woman was blinking several hours post-mortem. What? Oh no, Tank! Oh, shit. Morgue stories are fitting being in the hospital currently. Sorry, so many people said they wanted to hear morgue stories. Tank, you are going to leave there. You are not there for that. Oh my goodness. This one's titled "The Odor of the Dead Can Be Mouth-Watering." Ew, if you mean before you vomit. I worked at security at hospital, and part of my job was dealing with the morgue. One time, I just came on shift and had to go release a body to a funeral home. I walk in, and I seriously thought someone had been eating barbecue in the morgue. I asked if a particular doctor was back. Previously, we had to get the administration involved in telling her she couldn't eat while doing autopsies or store her groceries in the walk-in cooler with the bodies. You had to tell someone that? How are you eating barbecue while you are chopping people up? That's concerning, to say the least. Anyway, the other guy with me said, "No, why?" And I said, "Because it smells like barbecue." And he was just like, "Oh, no, that's the 5 kids from the house fire." And I felt like crap the rest of the day. Oh my gosh. I did not have any clue that story was going to end that way. What? It's awful, but for some reason I'm resisting the urge to laugh because it's so shocking. Why did they title it "Mouth-Watering"? No. I would think, why does it smell like that down here? Ugh. But usually, as I'm assuming this morgue is in the hospital, because usually a hospital smells like food all over the place in random areas because random hospital workers take their lunch back to their offices, right? So there's always like this trail of like mashed potatoes and gravy or lasagna faintly in the hallways. It adds extra flavor eating in the morgue. Ew. If anything, I would think that would cure you of any overeating issues, or in fact it would probably make you never want to eat. Ew. They cremate the bodies with mesquite. Oh, them there barbecue coals, mesquite. Ugh. Only happy attitude because I'm listening here. Otherwise, super depressed. No. Ugh. This is so disturbing. Anyways, this one's titled, It's Just a Prank, Bro. Mm. One time I had prepped this man. I came into the prep room to do some laundry and things, and as I walked past him, I noticed a small piece of lint in his ear from the towel I used to dry him off. I took my gloved pinky and kind of swiped it out. I proceeded to fold some towels, and the next thing I know, I felt something touch my ear, near the ear opening. It felt just like someone stuck their finger in my ear, but there was no one around. The next day, I was looking through the obituaries. I read the obituaries of the cases I work on. And sure enough, this man had one. It mentioned how much of a prankster he was. I guess I was his last prank. So a dead guy tried to give you a wet willy? But it's just dry. Oh my god. Mesquite. Mesquite barbecue. Hell. Oh my gosh. A ghost tried to give you a wet willy. That's a new one. The girl who wasn't there. My first experience at work. These ones don't have like Reddit names, so I'm not really sure where it's from. I don't know if they submitted them to Ranker or whatever. Anyway, my first experience at work was when I first started my embalming career. I worked at an independent mortuary service. I had just started my shift and was using a restroom in the back. And when I came out, I heard what sounded like a girl sobbing and the sound of feet shuffling around on the floor. The floor was kind of gravely, and had a distinct sound if you scooted your feet on it. So gravelly is probably what that's supposed to. Anyway, the sound was coming from around the corner that led into a small room where we would store embalmed bodies ready to be delivered to their respective funeral home. I figured someone was upset and crying, so I kind of snuck in, still hearing the sobbing. When I peeked around the corner, the room was empty. No living person in there. I noticed that there was only one body in there as well. A young girl. She had shot herself in the side of the head. I wasn't scared per se, but I'm pretty sure you could audibly hear my heartbeat. Yeah, I think even if it's not scary, I think your body reacts to some things that are not normal, like paranormal. Yeah, for sure. Used for smoking meat. That's right on the screen each time I look up. I can't stop thinking about it. This one's titled Moaning in the Dark, Not Always Sexy. One time my uncle picked up a body and hoisted it over his shoulder to carry to the cart. Keeping in mind, this was in the 50s, so they probably don't do that anymore. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they don't, unless it's in some sort of like situation where you got to climb down a ladder. Anyway, he flung it over his shoulder with the head side in his back, and my dad was standing behind him when he did this. The movement compressed the remaining air from the lungs, and my dad said the dead body just let out a huge moan. That scared the bejesus out of him. He thought maybe the guy wasn't actually dead or was reanimating. Oh my god. This one's titled, Ever Think About the Smell in a Crematorium? No, I don't. Ew, no. Contrary to popular belief, the dead aren't basted in rosemary honey butter and slid into a giant Kenmore if they've chosen to be cremated. Trust me, I was disappointed to learn that too. Why would you think they'd put rosemary on someone? Come on. They're not trying to make you smell like basted chicken. But no. Once the coroners, medical examiners, and morticians are done with their extensive dead stuff checklist, you're rolled up in a plastic sleeve like a giant newspaper and put into a long cardboard box. Your toe tag is removed and hung on a hook outside of the oven they're about to place you in. There are usually a few ovens, so they want to make sure your ashes aren't sent to the wrong family. One Reddit mortician did, however, confess this. There are some comminglings involved, although very minimal. It is unavoidable because you can't get every single grain out. As long as you sweep it properly after each person, it is very minimal. Ew. At any rate, the ovens are then cranked to either 1400 or 1800 degrees, and the odors begin to swirl. Obese people being cremated smell like bacon. Skinny people being cremated smell like fireworks. Oh my lord. I could go the rest of my life not knowing that. For sure. Like, You guys, do you want me to keep reading these? These are disturbing. It definitely... I'll ask Tank specifically. Do you want me to keep reading these? Like, is this making you sadder? Or is this funny? Guys, let me know. This one says, unconventional deaths are a treat for morticians. Lots of interesting deaths. I embalmed a man that was found dead leaning over a balcony in the front of his house. It was October, and with all his decorations, neighbors thought he was also a decoration. He was there for days. Another time, there was an old couple walking down a main road. A truck drove by carrying sheet metal. One flew off near them and decapitated both of them. What? Final Destination. Ugh. 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 Well, if that didn't disturb you guys, I don't know what did. Oh, ew. Okay, I'm not going to read that one because it's about babies. I'm just going to skip it. Yes, you poop, and you also mess with the lights. Nurse here, I've seen my share. People poop themselves when they die. Before we take bodies down to the morgue, we always have to clean up the poop. Also, bodies stay warm for a long time. That was really surprising the first time I did post-mortem care. So if you guys don't know, I was in nursing when I was in high school, like nursing class. And when someone passes away, you have to clean the body. Like there's like a procedure. Which doesn't happen if you pass away at home. Like obviously, I wonder if the mortician does it. But anyway, if someone passes away in the hospital room, you have to clean the body. It's a basic clean, but yeah, it's weird. It's weird. It feels like you're infringing on like a moment when you shouldn't be. I don't know. It felt wrong. Ugh. Anyway. Post-mortem care. It's an hour later that the body is still really warm, and the only place I've ever seen the lights flicker is just outside the morgue. Ooh, me too. They are fine almost all of the time, but when we bring a body down, the lights always flicker. Really creeps me out. Another worker says, when I would present with a specific body to high school students, a single light would frequently flicker during my talk. What's weird is that light never flickered any other time, and it would only flicker when I presented with a specific body. I never told that to the students when I was presenting to them and always played it off as no big deal. But secretly, it always creeped me out and made me wonder why. Oh. Ew. Final Destination is cool. Listen, if Final Destination didn't make you question riding behind a car that has loose lumber in it or tanning beds, Mm-mm. You're in danger all the time. Let's see here. Some dead still need to get their crunches in. So there is one thing that it's worst. I worked some time in a hospital here in Spain, and one of my duties was taking the recently deceased patients to the morgue. Sorry about that. Then you are alone with a corpse, and suddenly it moves up. I literally shit myself the first time. It seems that if they are new, fresh corpses, sometimes the muscles contract, and with the help of internal gases, the body gets up a little. I was just used to the job because it doesn't happen regularly, but then it happened one day, so I didn't expect it. But someone else in this employment area adds, a friend of mine once dated a mortician's daughter, and while making out with her in the prep room, had a dead body sit up. Freaked him up, but she just said, oh, they do that sometimes. Like it was no big deal. Oh my gosh. The Working Dead. One time we had a person who did some acting and modeling in California, a hand model. The family came in early for the visitation to set up pictures and things. I showed them in, help them get started, then leave them so they can do their thing. I come back about 10 minutes to check on them, and just about every picture they put up were of this person's hands and the various ads they did. There were some family photos, but most were pairs of hands. It was funny to me because most people will put up whole pictures. We had a dead clown one time, and the person was buried in full clown costume with makeup and all. The whole family were clowns. All the friends were clowns. And at the family's request, the funeral directors were clowns too. They supplied costume and did our makeup. Family and friends had one teardrop painted near the eye. Definitely the strangest. But man, what an entertaining funeral. Oh my gosh. We've talked about this before. I thought it would be funny to hand out robes and those, what are those, anvils? No. And play that song, Don't Fear the Reaper, at my funeral because it would be entertaining. I don't know. I would want people to laugh and have a good time, not like be sad. This one's titled, A Dead Body Still Gets the Chills. Dead people get goosebumps. The erector pili, the tiny muscles responsible for goosebumps, go into rigor mortis after death just like every other muscle. Rigor mortis is transient, so it can be weird if you happen to notice the goosebumps appearing or disappearing. Makes it seem like they're still alive. Oh my gosh. And you posted a piece of lumber. My God. The meaning of disco rice is absolutely horrific. Disco rice? I don't even know. We had this house call one time. The lady was dead a while and on the couch all bloated as hell. When we started moving her, the abdomen busted. Goo and maggots all over my leg. We call those disco rice. I hate them so much. Ew. 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 Ugh. I wonder if I could live stream a movie and it wouldn't get cut off. Do you think that would happen? I don't know if that could happen. I need to stumble on someone else's channel that does that. Oh no, this one's titled, You've Got Something on Your Suit. We all know what it is. Anyway, I always slice the back of t-shirts, shirts, and jackets. It just makes it easier to dress the people. I don't like jostling around with the body in case they purge some fluids. I work with a guy who cuts nothing. I chuckle as he struggles with the body. You've got something on your suit. Yeah, he does. What? I don't know what more stories we're going to read here because we've been doing this for an hour and 44 minutes. We'll do a few more, but I will say I don't know how much longer I can hold it. I don't know if I can unplug this. Is it charged or not? No, it's going to die. I can't unplug that. Okay. So I'm going to say I've got about maybe 5 or 10 minutes left in my bladder before I'm going to be forced to pop the weasel myself. I want my funeral to end with "Pop goes the weasel." Someone cranks the end of the coffin and then you just like sit up. Dun 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 dun. Dun. Oh my gosh. I wonder how they could make that happen without it being very disgusting. Ew. Ew, strangest causes of death they've ever seen. um oh no, I'm not reading that one. That's gross. Suffocation by body parts. I'm a security officer at a local hospital with a major psych ward. I had to put a body of a psych patient in the morgue because he ripped off his and the so his man parts, all of them, and gouged out his own eyeballs and swallowed them and suffocated on his own body parts. He did this all within 5 feet of the RN station, not making a sound. That is terrifying. What? If that doesn't mess up your whole day, hearing that, I don't even know what would. Come here, TT. Come here. Also, I'm going to have to go in a minute to let my dog outside. So I'm going to read 2 more stories and then we're going to cut this off. So, yeah. Because I'd walk over with the computer, but it's going to die. Had to clean an apartment out after that happened to a tenant where I worked. Was dead for 2 weeks before being found and was plenty of disco rice. I hope that they at least let you do like a shop vac situation. Like, I don't even know. And how does someone else go in that apartment? How does someone else move in that apartment and be totally like nothing happened? Disco rice. Blah. Ooh, I'm going to skip this one because it's really gross. Ooh. Ew. Ew. These are really gross. Death by donkey? Not a coroner, but I did recently come into my grandma's extensive genealogy of our C19 blood relatives in Texas. There were many weird stories, but this one seemed to stand out. I found another grave in the Pidcoke Cemetery, Coryell County. That is interesting. There's only a metal marker. Lewis girl, killed by Jack. Hers was the first grave in the cemetery. I remembered as a child, Mama told me about this incident. Erna Mae Griffin told me the same story. They remember this child as being a niece of Laura Lewis and that she was always spoken of as baby. Oh no. She was young. She wandered in the yard alone and the donkey attacked her. Oh no. Oh no, it's really bad. I'm not going to finish reading that. I don't want to do that to someone's day. It gets worse. She didn't make it, but it's very graphic and really bad. I think I'm going to read 2 more of these. Poisoned by the decapitated head and fangs of a snake. Wow, I didn't even know that was possible. Not a corner, but wanted to share this as I've never had a more relevant chance. So my grandfather used to live on a military base in the Carolinas in the 1950s. The gardener on base was cutting the long grass when he ran over a snake. The snake's head was cut off by the lawnmower, and mouth open hits the gardener right in the neck with its fangs. Gardner ends up dying from the snake's venom. Truly fearful of cutting grass now. That's crazy. That's like a thought I would have, but that actually happened. What? This last one is called Bullet Digestion. This one has a Redditor name, and it says Hypnotoad 8616. Hypnotoad was good enough. There was a male body brought in with 4 bullet holes in the anterior side, all of which are in the upper chest. Additionally, there were no exit holes on the posterior side and no evidence of bullet removal. However, after performing an autopsy for over an hour, the coroner could only find 2 bullets. After a lot more work, he ended up finding 1 bullet in the stomach and 1 in the small intestine. Turns out that these 2 bullets had actually punctured and entered the esophagus, and he was dying. His body swallowed. And as he was dying, his body swallowed and began to digest the 2 bullets. Oh, ew. Now I gotta go find the death by donkey. Trust me, you don't wanna. I wish I could unread it in my head, and I'm really glad I didn't read it for you guys. Yeah. I would keep reading, but my bladder says no, and my dog's bladder says no, and I could take the computer with me, but the battery's gonna die, so that's just poetic right there. Things you're not meant to hear. Anyway, so I'm glad to see a lot of people here this morning. I hope this distracted you temporarily. And if you have any suggestions, always drop them in the comment sections. If you weren't here for the live read and you're listening back, I combined drop and comment together. Wow. Anyways, drop them in the comment section. You can always email me at duchessdark676@gmail.com. Yeah, so there's that. We will live stream again soon, but I'm hoping to record and post this week. But I don't want to make any promises and then disappoint anyone, so I want to make sure the stories are decent. Yeah. Yep. Okay, so I hope you guys have a good day and hope this entertained you at least for a few minutes. And until